Let's check in with members of our Power of Eight groups from the Mile High Church in Denver to find out whether participating in these groups is healing divisions in their own lives. I'm here with Wes Chapman, who was part of a Power of Eight group that I ran earlier this week, and I filmed myself. Now, we've been talking about rebound effects, and Wes, you weren't a receiver, you were a sender.
That's right, yeah. In the group, we all agreed, though, to put our main issue that we were each concerned about, and we all had a chance to speak to that. But as the work proceeded, I wasn't one of the receivers, I just sent. But my issue was chronic depression since my service in the final year of the war in Vietnam, which was a huge event in my life, needless to say.
And life didn't go really to plan.
No.
From the time you had some big dreams, right?
I did, yeah. I was going to college at the time, but they had done away with student deferments, and I had a really low lottery number. And so I remember my campus self. I had a lot of dreams and hopes. And somehow the prospect of being drafted just made me give that all up. It was like I went into survival mode, just to make it through wartime. And then my life after that, when I came home, seemed to continue in patterns more of darkness or suffering and even death to a surprising extent. My life just went on, and it felt like an exercise in survival for years. One bright spot was my marriage to my second wife, which was quite wonderful, but she came down with a fast-moving cancer, and I lost her, which was a really tough blow. And in response to that, I had to make money to pay the medical bills, so I got into long-distance trucks, lived in trucks for 5 years. I had no house. Imagine how depressing that was. Anyway, finally I retired a few years ago, and that pattern of depression has continued. But one positive in my life is my church, and through them, I made contact with the opportunity to try your experience. And
that's the Mile High Church in Denver.
Yes, And the other thing is that I've been a serious meditator for about 15 years. I think, frankly, my meditation practice is what's kept me going.
So you came along with this group that I filmed a few days ago, and with any kind of expectation, or what did you think?
Well, in general, I have a positive feeling about spiritual things. I was raised in a spiritual family, but at the same time, I didn't know. I just released it. Mainly, I wanted to focus on the other people. I wanted to do my best to send good energy to them, and I know I've heard people say that you get a benefit from participating. So I just hope for the best and did my best for the receivers.
And I remember you saying, well, I have chronic depression, but not really putting yourself forward and saying, yeah, do me.
Right.
So what happened during those meditations, those circles, the Power of Eight circles? What did it feel like to you?
I felt the energy running through our hands. I felt the vibrations in the room change. I felt a very sort of special atmosphere was being created. I don't know, high vibration, very pure, little piece of heaven, call it what you want. But there was something that seemed to me that there was something special in that room.
So you went home, though.
Yeah.
Then what happened? How were you feeling?
Well, I felt wonderful about the experience itself, but then afterward I felt disconcerted and sort of disorganized, and the traffic was rough, and I got home feeling a little shaken, and I don't know. Anyway, I went to bed, and the next morning when I woke up, it was an amazing thing. The first thing I felt was this energy. It was like the wheels are moving. It's like I can do what I need to do and do it happily. The second thing is amazingly heightened sensory awareness, as well as the emotions that go with the sensations. Like I had a cup of herbal tea, and it like knocked my socks off. It's like, wow. And even like doing the dishes was, I could feel the self-love. We all think, well, it's wonderful to take care of yourself, and this is an act of self-love and self-care, and it's easy to think that, but to feel it, the chores are actually fun. And I noticed went outside a little bit, and I noticed flowers and trees are just so beautiful. It's like all my senses were multiplied by, I don't know, 5 or 10. And one of the surprising things too is I definitely had got in the habit of avoiding people. I tried to minimize my social contact, you know. And now it's like when I see someone coming, it's like I automatically feel enjoyment. It's like it just happens so fast. I don't have time to think about it. Here's a person. Wow, how are you? You know, and these good feelings come so quickly and so easily.
A lot of people, even participating in these big intention experiments, so they are senders, not receivers, suddenly have all of that heightened awareness. It's like their senses are on fire. And they have this feeling of wanting to hug strangers.
Yeah.
You know, they're just wanting to connect all the time. It sounds like you're talking about the same thing.
I felt that very much, yes. And I was so glad to see everyone. Well, as by chance, I had a session that night at Mile High Church. I'm part of a class on the shadow, actually, working with your shadow. We did a deep meditation that evening at church, and I was aware during that deep meditation that something very powerful came in for me, but it came in so fast, I couldn't see it, I wasn't really aware of it, but I knew that something big was up.
So what happened next?
And then when I went to bed that night, now this is the second night after the experience, I woke up in the morning with a clear memory of the most lucid dream, is what a rational person would call it. I call it a vision. It was so clear and powerful. I found myself back on the campus that I was at where I was drafted and where, you know, I sweated that out. There was a chapel there that I always liked, and I walked past it every day, and it's like maybe the only sacred space on that campus. And this is not easy to describe. My 19-year-old self was waiting for me. And I felt the most powerful emotions of love and connection and joy. It's like all of his high hopes, all of his beautiful dreams, all of his optimism, all of his youthful energy, you know, it's like, wow. Somehow I left all that behind, you know, in that trauma, in that when I dropped into survival mode just to take my draft physical, and God help me, you know, I guess I left that behind. But to meet him again, and he's been waiting there so patiently for me, and it's like I got it back. It's like my 19-year-old self has been salvaged and plugged back in. And oh my God,
What was his message to you? Did he have a message?
That he waited for me, and that it's all right, and that I shouldn't feel bad, and that, well, there's kind of an awareness. It's not exactly so much words as it is understanding. You know, it's just this massive understanding comes so strong that now with my experience and wisdom and strength and toughness, and, you know, his optimism and hope and joy, it's like, hey, I get to start life all over again at 65. I've done a lot of work over the years, but this is the most phenomenal, the most powerful, and the most direct.
That is so wonderful.
And your technique is awesome.
And that's the thing, once again, there isn't really a lot of technique. There's a few bits and pieces of focusing your mind, getting into your heart place, etc. But the key element here is being part of a group. And that group seems to have that current, that dynamic, seems to have an amazing, amazing force that amplifies. You know, and what I find so amazing is that it doesn't matter whether you are the sender or receiver. Everybody receives.